What's up, folks? Renfail here. Still on the road, so no green screen. It's a little different, I know, but we'll be back in the office July 1st. But in the meantime, I'm getting caught up on all the things I missed at the Xbox Direct event, the Ubisoft Connect, and right now we're going to be doing the deep dive with Carrie Patel and the team over on the Xbox podcast, doing a deeper dive into the footage that was showed off for Avowed. I can't wait to sink my teeth into this game. I'm going to be playing the absolute crap out of this when it goes live. If you've been on my channel for any length of time, you know that I love Pillars of Eternity. I've played the first game 3 times, the second game twice. I've done a ton of guides, ton of playthroughs. Can't wait to get into this one. It's shaping up to be one of my favorite RPGs of 2024. But in the meantime, I gotta listen to what she has to say, and let's take a look at what the team has to show off. So without further ado, let's go ahead and
My personal
tune in.
faves. It's Carrie Patel, game director on Avowed. Welcome back, Carrie.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Oh man, you have been to the studio several times now.
Yeah,
It is such
exactly.
a treat that you spend so much time out here with us. We had you on Extended Showcase last year.
It was a great
we
show.
did an interview. This was
Last
after,
year, yeah.
one of the very first forays into Avowed, so that was very exciting. And then we actually had you on this podcast
Yes.
with a slightly different
Earlier this year.
visual design.
Yeah, the cheese set is gone.
The cheese couch is
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Jeff is
table.
very happy about that. We got some podcast mics now, which I'm very excited
professional.
about.
Very
Yes,
professional.
I probably need to get some
but
of
yes,
those for
you
my
were
house.
here to go deeper into some
my home
exciting gameplay
office.
following Developer Direct, which was earlier this year. Incredible show, incredible viewing from the team. And
That
it
was a
so
great show.
fun to get this deeper dive. So now we get to do that again, but following Showcase.
That's
So
right.
man, you are spoiling us in the audience.
That's
Well,
right.
it's great to be here, and I'm definitely excited to show off what the team has been working on and excited to take a deeper dive into story today.
Ooh, well, let's talk
Love
about that.
that.
So, as Tina mentioned, after the Developer Direct, we had you on the podcast, and I just got to make a call back. Like, that was received so well. Like, it was just great watching the comments and everyone, like, makes me want to play the game. And so, kudos to you and the team. I'm curious from your perspective and the team's perspective, since then, what's been going on? Like, I'm sure as you get closer to the release date, like, a lot of things are coming into play. So, tell us a bit about that time.
Yeah, it's a really exciting part of the development process because you've got so much that's so far along, your content, your gameplay, your systems, and you're really just, investing those final touches, that final layer
Polish.
of polish, like pushing everything to be
She
as
said the
good as
word.
it possibly can.
Oh, that
trying
looks
to make smart
amazing.
decisions, not crazy ones. But yeah, it was
Oh,
great to
guys,
see the
we're gonna have so
reception
much
after
fun
Developer
streaming this game.
Direct. One of the things that I know folks called out that we spent a lot of additional time on was
Combat.
refining that sense of hitting, which
Yep,
we're going to
yep,
see some
yep.
of in our
That's
footage
awesome.
today. So yeah, it's really just taking everything that's almost there and pushing it over the finish line and really getting to turn this into the game that we all on the team want to play as well.
Yeah, and I just want to build off of that a little bit because we were talking about you before you all came. We were talking behind your back, but in a good
Only
way.
good things.
But like I feel like to your point, Obsidian has this je ne sais quoi. This, to use my little French that I know very little. Of,
It was that one statement. That was it.
yeah, that's really all I know. But no, it's like this something special that you all have where not only do you have the community aspect who love games, Grounded, Pentiment, all these great games, but also just the team, like the cohesiveness. I got to visit the studio a little bit late last year, and just walking through the office, it was very evident why your games always come together and are just so great. It's just because you have that cohesive unit. So it's great that time that you spent since then has been used just like polishing the game, like you said, and making it awesome. So I'm
The
excited to
combat,
play a
like
little
the
bit later.
feel of
Oh, yeah,
combat, was
me
something
too.
that people
and
had
before we
touched on
jump
in
into
Yeah.
the deeper dive
Direct
gameplay,
earlier in
do
2020.
you want to just set up for us
Was it
both
earlier
what
this year?
Avowed is, just in
No, that
case
was last
anyone
year, I
out there
think. I
doesn't
don't remember
know, but also what we just saw at the Xbox Game Showcase with the new trailer.
Sure. So Avowed is an upcoming fantasy action RPG. For players who are familiar with the Pillars of Eternity games, this takes place in the same universe, but it is not a sequel. The style of gameplay is obviously very different. The cast of characters is mostly different, but we'll get to that. But yeah, it's basically just bringing our players to the world of Aora
Oh,
with
that
a
looks
really
amazing.
immersive, action-forward,
Yeah, look at the
really
magic.
fun, fresh take on the Pillars world. And from the trailer we just saw now, we've met a few of our key characters.
I still think I might
part
be
of what we
going
wanted
either
to do
dual
with
wield
this trailer is really set up for the
wands
player, the world you're
wand
stepping
and
into,
flintlock.
and the role you're stepping into, and also the choice that's in front of you for how you want to inhabit and live out that role in the game. So the very first voice that we hear from at the beginning of the trailer is the Emperor of Adir, your boss essentially. He's sending you to the living lands to get to the bottom of this soul plague called the Dream Scourge, find out what's causing it, and find a way to stop it. The next person we hear from is Inquisitor Ludwig, who I'm very excited to have playing such a big part in Avowed. Players from Deadfire might remember her as a side character in one of our very interesting side quests, but in Avowed, she's pretty central. And her whole belief is that the Dream Scourge is really just symptomatic of larger problems, a larger sense of chaos and disunity and destructiveness at the heart of the living lands. And in the world of Pillars of Eternity, souls and essence, which is the stuff of souls, it manifests physically. And so she might be onto something. And then the very last person we hear from is Giada, who's one of the companions that we'll meet in our journey.
Sweet.
And she's taking a different perspective. She's saying this chaos is part of who we are. It's part of what
that's
makes the
amazing.
living lands special. Don't try to tame it.
Hopefully
Don't try
she's
to
a
end it.
romanceable character.
Embrace it and cherish it and kind of nurture and tend to it. So again, what that really sets up for the player is this is a big world. It's got adventure and danger, and it's also got a lot of choices to make. And it's going to be up to you to decide, what it means to be the envoy of Adir in the living lands and what it means to set things right in this place.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
to your point, that kind of like Obsidian formula, that
100%.
player choice, and some of that
Story.
moral
They do
intrigue,
story
too,
so,
what
so,
decisions are you
so,
gonna
so
make in a moment
good.
by moment.
Yeah, and I think that's what
Narrative
players,
writing.
as you said, like that's what players really want. Like they want to feel like they have some agency. They are going to be able to interpret the story that you all build and kind of act on that. And so, but let's get into the gameplay because just like
Yes,
a
please.
little bit after
Gameplay is
Developer
always a
Direct,
good
you've
thing.
brought some new gameplay for us to watch. And so let's check some of this out. Tell us a bit about what we're seeing here.
So we're going to start out in Emerald Stair, which is one of the regions you'll get to explore over the
Oh, it
course
looks
of the game.
phenomenal.
We're not too far along, but we have here a lovely nighttime scene. I think this region in particular looks
Oh.
fantastic at night. Not
Very
only because,
stunning.
Yeah, thank you. And here we have some Sporlings attacking Yatsley, who is going to be one of our other companions.
Oh, you hear the hits?
And you were
That's
charging
awesome.
up like your bow and arrow
Oh,
there,
they're-
and then
they're,
you're
like,
also kind of
absorbing.
trying to slice your way through what looks like some very thick top heavy
Yeah.
swirling armor here.
And you're right, we are struggling a little bit.
Yeah, they're giving you a run for your money here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
We'll,
like-
we'll fix that. So
Okay.
part of the problem is we've just transitioned out of an earlier region, and so we haven't upgraded our gear yet. So if we look like we're struggling against these little mushroom guys, it's because we haven't upgraded our weapons.
You're
so
still
that
a
they're
noob,
really
man.
up to par with the enemies we're gonna face here. So there's a lot of hacking and whacking, but we'll fix that in short order.
Oh, fantastic. People, I was about to lose my wits. You wouldn't happen to have a ladder on hand, would you?
So this is still fairly early into the game too, the setting of Emerald Stair.
Yeah.
nice. And then we have Yatsley.
Yeah, she's a wizard. She's very fun. She's a little risque in a way that I think makes her a lot of fun to talk to. She's got some
Oh, look at all
very
those
good banters with
conversation
the other
options, and we're
companions.
familiar with like the
But
strength
yeah,
option, perception, like
she's
all the
just a little
different
lightning
ways
ball
to
with a lot
manipulate
of
the conversation
personality.
based on your
Yeah.
skills and
And
You
so-
see
stats.
the options
Yeah.
here, by the way. Also, one of the great things about your game is, of course, dialogue options.
he caught
Tell
it.
us a little bit about how that's playing here.
So you noticed with a couple of those that we had a little symbol at the front
Yep,
of those options.
we're familiar with
so,
this.
as this is an Obsidian game, some of the options available to you are dictated by choices you make at character creation, choices you make as you level up your character. So some of them are tied to specific attributes, some of them are tied to specific backgrounds that you choose at the beginning of the game. And a lot of those will really, in different cases, either add some different flavor or personality or possibly a different outcome to that conversation. Here we're really getting to know her as a character, and so, we're just kind of choosing the tonal direction of this conversation.
Yeah,
There's
she's
amazing.
Yeah.
She says you're tall, striking, and well-toned.
It is like she's flirting with us.
She
so
is.
what would happen if we pass the conversation check for the flirtation option, which I assume is this first one?
Yeah. Well, you'll have to see in a bit, but yeah, if you flirt with Yatsley, she will flirt back.
She
as we're
seems
about
like
to
a
see.
flirtatious type.
If you keep encouraging her, she's going to climb you.
Careful, darling. I already have a lover. A good one. Skilled with his hands. He always carries a ladder.
She rebuked me.
Oh no. Well, you know what? Maybe keep trying. But
Dialogue
no.
check.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, like visually speaking, like I think this is the first time you all are also showing like gameplay at night, right?
Yeah, so we do have a dynamic time of day, and
Ooh,
yeah,
okay. I
our
didn't think I knew
environments.
that. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, have some very lovely looks at different times of day. We've definitely shown a lot of daytime footage. We've shown some golden hour footage.
Definitely feeling
but
some of
again,
the
Emerald Stair
grounded
looks really
stuff here too
stunning
as
at
well. That's
night.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's very colorful, very lush. We've got all the fungi, and then one thing we're going to see as we come over the hill here is all of this equipment that the animancers of the town of Fior have made. And so Animancy in the world of Pillars of Eternity is
all
basically
about
soul
souls, baby.
science. It's about studying and manipulating the essence that makes up souls and the essence that is ambient in the ether.
Quite controversial in the world.
Yes, it is,
That's a
which is
blocked
something we
passage
get
right
into
there.
in this region. But yeah, so this is a little enclave of animancers who are kind of free to study, outside of the the watchful eye of any larger authority.
Look at that
here in
tower.
The Living Lands.
Animancy,
But, yeah,
baby.
what it means aesthetically is they have this really lovely equipment with this wonderful purple glow that just looks great at this time of evening.
Ooh, what is this? An
And
Argo
so
Stone?
they are also impacted by the Dream Scourge as well.
They
this
are,
area.
yes. They've discovered something wrong in the ether, and you're coming here to sort of see what the Animancers have figured out.
All right, and now I'm looking at this. It looks like we're heading into the party camp. Can you tell us a little bit about what this area is and its significance for the player?
Yeah, so Party Camp is one of my favorite spaces in the game. It's both your narrative hub and also your upgrade hub.
Perfect. So
we can see here
people who just
Third
got off of
person,
Baldur's
yeah.
Gate
Yes, we
3,
do
it's
have
going to be
third
the same
person.
thing.
A lot of the footage we're going to see today is in first person, but we do have a third person option for
Oh.
players who prefer it.
I did not
But
know
yeah,
they
in
were going to have
Party Camp,
third
that's where
person.
you'll
That's
get to know
awesome.
your companions better. You can kind of get to know their backstories and sort of, get to know them.
That's a huge thing, actually. Let's pause for a minute, guys, because up until this point, I was under the impression that Avowed was going to be first person only. So now they've provided players with the option, which means we're getting more agency to be able to choose between first and third person. That's a big deal because some people love to be able to take screenshots of their character, and having that third person option, it's also going to push it more in the direction of like Skyrim, where you could do first person or third person as well, or like Grounded. Very cool stuff. I'm really happy with that. I will be playing in first person, absolutely 100% first person, but I do love the fact that there's an option for those moments when I want to take screenshots.
And
That's
better as
good.
individuals. You can also hear them getting to know one another through their banters at camp, which is always super fun to eavesdrop on. And it's also where we can upgrade our gear. So we've got our
This
party
looks very
stash
Pillars
where
of
we can stow
Eternity.
a lot of extra equipment. We've got our upgrade screens, and here's where we're taking some of our older gear that we picked up in the previous region, and we're going to upgrade it so that we're better equipped to fight the enemies.
So you're going to
here.
need to be a loot
Yeah,
goblin, everybody, to get the
spoilings.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're
components.
coming back.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna be way better. But I want to touch back on what you said around the banter around with your companions. I've always found that like in those kind of camp areas and in games just in general, like that's where I love.
Yeah.
And I love that you all are including banter between the other
Companions.
companions.
That's a
'cause
staple
that makes
of
it feel
the
more
Pillars
alive.
game.
Like you're just listening to the banter. But is there conflict between some of the companions?
Yeah, they
their
have different
dynamics?
takes on the
Yeah.
Dream Scourge and like what you should do with it. Yeah.
Exactly. So what can we expect to hear when we're listening, eavesdropping in on the banter?
So you'll hear a lot of different things. One thing we really wanted to create with Party Camp was this sense that, you're adventuring and exploring together through this big wilderness, all of these different landscapes, and Party Camp is this quiet space where you can all kind of huddle together, share a moment of respite, and, the pace and the tone of everything is a lot slower and quieter. So some of the banter is going to be kind of quirky and fun as these characters get to know each other and kind of dig into their different
God, I love that
personalities.
dwarf. Look
their
at his
different
chest piece,
eccentricities.
like the pockets and everything.
Some of it's going to be a little more somber as they, kind of reflect on different events that y'all have seen, different things y'all have gone through together. And then, yes, as you get to harder decisions in the game, there are going to be moments of conflict where they disagree on what the right course forward is, or they disagree on maybe actions that you've taken up to this point, and they're kind of hashing it out with one another. So it's really just where these characters get to come to life a lot more.
So you're going to be judged the whole time.
Good.
No.
Because I'm a controversial king. We're going to be picking some controversial decisions, so I love to see that.
I love that kind of
I
banter
play
too, because
cat
I
good,
know
fairly
in my heart
standard,
the decisions
so-
I want to make, but absolutely the more connected I get to certain companions or characters, they can totally influence by their judgment,
that's
their
a good point.
cool judgment. Yeah, so I'll
Yeah.
sometimes, start to actually take that into account. I love the party camp moments, sitting by a campfire, and certainly getting stronger.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
my understanding is we're picking up some, not just upgrading some of our weapons, but also picking up some new skills, which you can
Attribute
do in
points,
this
baby.
party camp kind of downtime too.
Oh,
Yeah, so you can upgrade your skills and abilities anywhere as you level up through.
So that's a little different for those of you who didn't play the first Pillars games. Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, your stats were locked. Once you finished up character creation, those were your stats for the rest of the game. And you could get gear that would modify certain things, but you could not put points into things as you leveled up. So this is a big change for them, being able to actually spend attribute points or earn more attribute points as you level up to progress your character. That's a new thing for them, so very interesting to see.
throughout the course of the game. That's one of the things we're doing right now. So on certain level up milestones, we'll get to upgrade our attributes, which we just did. And on every level up milestone, we'll get to pick a new ability. So in this playthrough, it seems like we've got a couple points sitting in reserve. So we're spending these on different abilities in our different trees. And one of the really fun things about the way these are set up is you can really mix and match freely between them. So if you want to be all wizard, you can, build entirely throughout that skill tree. If you want to mix and match, make a battle mage, or make, someone who can be a little stealthy in certain moments and a little more aggressive in others, you have a lot of freedom to do that.
Sounds like me. I like that one. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot of Tanglefoot in previous trailers, and I think we just unlocked Fan of Flames, which will help us get through these brambles, right?
Yeah, that
so
was
we're
that
not only
locked
stronger, but now we
passage we
can
saw.
actually progress
Oh,
in
look
the
at that.
environment in Emerald Stair with a little bit more skills at our hands.
We wanted to try to, as much as possible, give the different abilities that players can pick up. Obviously solutions in combat, but also solutions in exploration. And so, there's almost always more than one way through a particular barrier, but you'll have, weapons, your own abilities, spells, weapon enchantments, sometimes even your companions who can, use their environmental abilities to help you get
Companions
through
being able to
like
do it
that.
as well is pretty
Again, as you
cool.
build
So
the
if you're
character you wanna
missing
play.
something, you'll be able to have
Okay,
a
so
companion who can help you
now that we're
with
coming
it.
out of the camp, we've upgraded our equipment, we've upgraded our swords, so theoretically these guys should be easier now.
Yes, and you'll
Oh,
notice
yeah,
it's taking
much-
fewer hits
Oh,
to bring them
yes.
down.
Yeah.
Yep, they
Get
go
outta here.
flying.
Look at him, he barely
Yeah.
stood a chance.
Yes, we've got some nice blood effects.
There's a lot
as we're
more
slicing
meatiness
through
to
'em.
the
Yeah, so is that
combat
like new
now.
animation as well? New sound effects and animation as you're kind of upgrading your swords
Yeah.
and other items?
Yeah, we want to make sure that players are getting clear feedback as
Sure.
to when their gear is effective and when maybe they need to go back to camp. So it looks, it feels, it sounds
Yeah, because if you checked
different
out
when
the
you're
first
playing
one,
with it appropriately.
that you could see that the fungi were absorbing the attacks, like it wasn't doing a lot of damage, and now you can actually there's not that absorption going on. You can actually see it. So they definitely took the feedback that people gave in the last direct to heart, because that was one of the only major things that I heard any feedback on was people saying that didn't feel like there was any weight to the attacks. Like they didn't really see a lot going on once you attacked a mob. So it looks like they've taken the time to really add that level of polish to the game, to add that weightiness to combat so that you actually feel like you're having an impact. Definitely can see it here in this trailer, in this gameplay footage. That's really, really cool to see that.
leveled gear.
And this guy's a
Yeah.
little different looking.
Yeah.
What's his
Boss
deal?
Spikes.
So this is a caster. So, all of our enemy families will have different
he
unit
spawned a
types
friend.
among them. And we've seen a lot of these little melee spoilings who just run at us, and it's very cute, actually. It's one of our favorite little animations on the team. But you also have these caster units that can obviously attack you from a distance, do quite a bit more damage.
Oh, he
and we have a
drank
few
a
other
potion.
unit types who we haven't met yet, but we're going to try to take this guy out because he's a little
Boss
more dangerous
mob.
than the small guys.
Yeah, taking a few more hits than them.
So when you build up enough stun on an enemy, you can kind of queue up an attack like that does a lot of extra damage, and will also, if it doesn't take them out outright, it'll at least give you some distance from them. So those are great to get if you can.
Nice to
and
be
a
able
little
to
more
launch up to
traversal
the-
here, which I love.
Yeah,
to
the
see.
traversal is always good.
Adds that verticality that we love. That allows players to, I guess, discover new things in the game and maybe some hidden things.
Hidden
Exactly.
potion.
Yeah, it's a very fun mechanic to be
Fall
able to build
damage?
content around because, like you said, you can really reward your curious players by hiding a lot of secrets, a lot of fun, a lot of storytelling, and nooks and crannies throughout the levels.
Oh, the
And
sword
we did
sheath.
just pick up that godless vase, so
Yes.
we've got our item that Yatsley's been asking us
harvest.
for.
Yes.
So can you remind us too, as we're looks like we're approaching her now, actually. So what we're kind of exchanging here?
Yeah, so Yatsley is a
Andres,
scholar
titties,
of
you
the
found
Godless, and the Godless are the ancient people who used to inhabit the living lands. They have been gone for many, 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 many years, but we see their ruins throughout the different regions of the living lands. So Yatsley studies them. They are called the Godless because they are not recognized as worshipping in their art any of the gods of Aora that people know of. So she wanted this artifact as, part of her studies. So even without a ladder, we were able to fetch it for her.
Oh, I
Oh,
like
and
the
we just
fungi
saw
on
a
the
quick
face.
flash of ourselves,
Yeah.
actually. And we are, actually, if you could explain too, because we are a godlike.
Yes.
We are almost the opposite of Yasli in that way.
Yes.
So what does that mean in the world of like the universe in general, and why we look the way that we look here?
Sure. So, in the world of Pillars of Eternity, a godlike is a member of any kith species whose soul has been touched in some way by one of the gods.
So they can have physical
You
manifestations.
can play as a godlike in Pillars 1 or Deadfire.
Yep.
In Avowed, you are definitely a godlike. And being a godlike will manifest in a number of different ways, but one of them is you usually have a unique physical appearance that manifests in some way on your face.
Let me go back and
head.
listen to what you just said.
And why we look the way that we look here.
Sure. So, in the world of Pillars of Eternity, a godlike is a member of any kith species whose soul has been touched in some way by one of the gods. You can play as a godlike in Pillars 1 or Deadfire. In Avowed, you are
Hold on. So she says here, in Avowed, you are definitely a godlike. So does that mean we're not going to be able to choose race at the beginning of this game? We're only going to be able to be a godlike? That's an interesting design decision, locking us into a specific race. I'm assuming that's going to have something to do with the storyline, which is cool. I'm going to wait to see more, but that's the first time I've heard of us being locked into a specific race, as opposed to being able to pick one of the different kith that we could before. Very, very interesting to hear that.
Definitely a godlike. And being a godlike will manifest in a number of different ways, but one of them is you usually have a unique physical appearance that manifests in some way on your face and or head. Now with Avowed, you can choose exactly what that manifestation looks like. This lichen-like growth is one of your options, but you will have some that are a lot bigger and more dramatic, and you'll also have some that are a lot subtler. But either way, you have a connection to one of the gods. The thing that's unique about you is you don't know which one. And most godlikes of Aora, it's very well known, which god they share a lineage with.
So it's going to be tied into the story.
And that's one of the things you'll get to explore.
Okay, perfect.
In your journey
That's
through Avowed.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and I love the customization because I think just generally speaking, people love to customize the character they want. So maybe again, like you go a little bit more obvious here, or maybe you go a little subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to see like players or not players, but like other people in the world like reacting to sort of your godlike appearance?
You will, because it is very unique, and there aren't many godlikes left in the world of Aora. So you're doubly unique in this case.
Oh, nice. I'm going to be showing it off and be like, yeah I'm a godlike. All right. So treat
What
me
you
as
got?
such.
Well, so some people think that's very cool. Some people think it's very spooky. So, different cultures and individuals have different ways of relating to godlike. So you'll get a number of reactions.
And that's the thing, is that godlikes are quite rare. So they are kind of intrigued by it when they see you and they recognize that you are different.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Now Yahtzee is sending us somewhere else, right?
So we've gotten her vase. She's going to return to her studies. She will join our party at some point, but not right away.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a quest that takes place along the Crit Path in Emerald
Oh,
Stair.
look at that
so you
view.
can tell we're still in the same overall region. So we're working with
Ooh, is
one
that
of
like
the
a dryad or
animancers in the
something?
town of Fior, and he's going to help us He's going to try to help us diagnose what's going on with the living lands. But in order to do that,
magic
he
missiles,
needs the
baby.
heart of an
Oh,
Adragon.
run away.
And an Adragon is essentially a nymph with sort of the skin and appearance of Adra, and he needs the heart for the essence that it contains. So he's sent us into this glade to go retrieve this heart. This glade is inhabited by a bunch of Delamgon, who, as you can see, are a lot more dangerous and a lot more
double
aggressive
fist of
than
flame,
the
baby.
Spoilings we encountered. Delamgon
drink a
in
potion.
the world of Pillars are fairly territorial, so we're kind of bringing this on ourselves. He did warn us that they wouldn't take
potion.
kindly to us just marching through their territory, and we might have an easier time of it if we can avoid conflict. But conflict's also fun, so in this case, we're just,
they want to show off their
going on
combat.
in.
And you're right about them being a little bit harder to take down. We are definitely having to utilize everything in our arsenal here to take them down.
Yes, and you're seeing a few different unit types here. We've also got casters.
He's
have
coming
some
back.
Very long kind of whippy arms that they can get us at a medium distance with, and a little area of effect attack. But they do eventually go down. But like you said, it takes more work.
Nice.
Now we're approaching what I'm assuming is a very special character. Can you tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, so this is the Delamgon Queen. She has the Adragon heart, and I'm sure she'll be super cool with how we just mowed through her followers. What could go wrong?
We had to do what we had to do, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
hopefully
She's
she
queen
doesn't.
of no one now.
Right? Oh, let's see what she says.
But wait, no.
Yep, she can sense what we've done, and she's not happy about it.
So many of my kin are dead by your hand. The time for words has
explain.
passed.
It's a good thing we like fighting because we're going to fight some more now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh no, she summoned friends.
The backup forces have arrived, and now we're in trouble. But we're gonna leave that a little mystery, right? I'm assuming. I
Yes,
don't want to give
yes.
everything away. So what are we looking at here? This is us kind of respecing kind of how our character plays, right?
Yes. So
Hold up. So at the top we see some like general abilities: fighter, ranger, wizard, godlike, companions, abilities, character, inventory, journal, map. Okay.
So if you find that you want to try out a new suite of abilities, if you want to approach a particular piece of content like this one in a different way, you can respec. And you might have seen popping up at the beginning of the screen here, there is a cost to doing so, but if you're willing to pay it, you can try out a whole new set of abilities. So what we're doing now is we're speccing into a lot of ranger related abilities, and I think a couple wizard ones as well. So the most important one of these is Shadowing Beyond, which is a level 5 ranger ability. And what that does is it gives us the ability to essentially kind of open up a rift in the here, which is the physical world, and travel through the beyond, which is kind of the invisible spiritual world.
Oh, wow.
In order to move
Bypass?
through the environment. So what this means is that as long as we don't engage them, these characters can't see us. And as long as we keep our essence meter up, this ability will remain active. So this one is constantly draining our essence, which is the soul energy that we use to power our special abilities and our spells.
Oh wow.
You can see we're passing some cover grass as well, so if we wanted to be a little more conservative with our power usage, we could duck into that grass, kind of watch the patrols, and avoid using this ability quite as much. But in this case, we're going to use it to get to this little safe nook right here.
So if you're an expert stealther, you could possibly do this section in stealth without that ability.
Just
If you're
with the
good,
grass,
just
If
yeah.
you're good.
The grass,
Challenge
yeah.
accepted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're re-upping on our potions so that
Yeah.
we can
Health
build up
and
that
essence.
essence.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, we're going to continue. And we've also found a little side route here. So again, we like to offer different ways for players to approach our content, especially big potential fights like the one kind of in the glade here. So this is a little side path that you can see still has some enemies in it, but for a player who's very careful and either willing to use that cover grass or willing and able to use Shadowing Beyond, they can get through without causing a ruckus.
So if you fight this
So
swirling, will
cool.
the others be alerted to it, or could you get away with like one kill and then?
It depends how close they are. So they do have a shout radius, but it is not infinite. So if there isn't anyone close by, and if you're pretty fast, you might be able to get away.
Yeah,
but
like
you can
that.
see
Oh,
there's
yeah.
one right
Yeah.
there. So
You never know who's hiding in
Exactly.
a little nook.
Right?
Exactly.
I'll kick that one off the cliff. Probably. It's like, get out of here. But I'm excited to see players how they tackle it, because I'm sure there are going to be people who decide not to use the essence at all and like really like want to show their mastery of that stealth aspect. And so here we are heading.
It's always a trade-off, right?
It
You
is.
know, do you want to loot all the dead bodies, or
Right.
do you want to take the
That's a good
peaceful
point.
path and possibly open up some other dialogue options, which tends to be how I play.
A welcome
Completely
visitor.
different conversation because you
It
stealthed
has
your way
been
and you
so
didn't take out
long
any of her
since one of your
followers.
kind
Very
has
good, guys.
walked
Very
in
good.
this grove.
In this case, the Dalamgon Queen has recognized that we haven't killed all of her followers. And so there's a little more of an opportunity to talk with her. She recognizes that we are a godlike. She might even recognize what kind of godlike we are. But yeah, in this case, she will give us the heart willingly, and she'll allow us to leave the glade peacefully because we chose.
And she's quite an ancient being, so there's a lot that she knows. You mentioned that, she might even know where we come from.
She might, yeah. Of course,
She
the thing is,
might.
Dalamgon are, they're, like you said, they're very ancient. They're not really part of Kith society, so it's hard to get too many straight answers out of them sometimes.
Yeah,
but
there's some
yeah.
vagaries in there, but enough
Yeah.
to kind of pique our interest.
But then she gave you the heart and she said, take it and go in peace.
Yeah.
And there
Exactly.
you go.
We came in peace and we left in peace. Look
Nice.
at that.
Peace. Rules.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Well, I think that's all the gameplay that you and the team brought out here today. Thank you again so much. It's been so insightful and such a fun opportunity to walk through it all step by step with you.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about it a little bit after the developer direct, but like the trailers that you all make are always so great. But then getting to like talk to you and see what the team has built and deliver especially for the Xbox podcast is always great to see and dive deeper into those details, dialogue options, how you tackle a game. Like all those things are so important for us to see, like how we're going to be playing the game
Yeah,
when it
so much
releases.
detail and intricacies. But
Yeah.
is there anything else that you want to leave the audience off with before we sign off on this episode?
Well, really excited for players to experience this game for themselves.
Can't wait.
Again, the team's been working really hard to just really put the rest of the experience together, get it all
look at the
polished,
traps.
get it across the finish line,
Ooh,
and
turn
we're
it
all really
into-
stoked to
oh,
see
Ice Mage.
how
Ice
players fill
Mage.
that player-shaped hole at the middle of our
look at
game, and
that.
what kind of role they choose for their envoy, and how they choose to solve the conundrums in the Living Lands.
Can't wait.
Us too.
I know, cannot wait. Carrie, thank you so much for stopping by. Please give the team our best, and excited to see the game a little bit later on. And with that, that wraps up today's Avowed episode of the official Xbox podcast. But of course, we've got a lot of others, very special episodes for you to check out later this week.
Well, we'll be covering some of the rest of it. I think they did the Indiana Jones deep dive today. Well, I'm recording this on Friday. I'm not going to be able to get to it today, but I am going to be going into the Indiana Jones deep dive. I've also still got to cover the Star Wars Outlaws stuff that came out with the Ubisoft event last Sunday. So expect to see that from me soon as well. More stuff coming on the channel, of course. I'm still on the road, but hopefully you'll follow along. Once I get back home, we'll be back to our normal scheduling, daily streams here and on Twitch. Hopefully you'll follow along on Discord and the Patreon as well, and I'll see everybody in the next one. Stay safe, happy gaming, and get ready for Avowed, everybody, because we're going to be playing the hell out of it here on the channel.